under pressure.
What happens if you miss? Now you've launched rounds out into public. And I'll give you an illustration of that. Last July, when Trump was shot, that was a great shot. It was a very good shot. What saved Trump is he turned his head at the last moment, and it got him in the ear.
Yes.
So if he didn't turn his head, just showing you where it got him,
Yes.
that's the spot right
That's the
there.
spot right there, yeah.
So that was a very good shot, and it would have killed him if he didn't turn his head at the last second.
Yes.
So he turned his head at the last second. It still clipped him in the ear, but that you run the same danger of that with headshots,
Yes.
for self-defense.
Unfortunately, why I want to uncover the truth. There you go. So today we have a special guest, someone that I know for at least 10 years. We've been working together. Actually, it's my personal firearm instructor. His name is Richard Smith, and he has a fantastic business. It's a Firearm Training Academy. He's based in Hollywood, Florida, on Sterling Road. He has a school, a very nice school with a lot of equipment, and he's very specialized on firearm training, self-defense, and he has a K license. A K license, for the one who don't know what is a K license, it's the absolute firearm training license in the state of Florida. Okay, and it's very difficult to obtain. Not too many people has that license, so he will be able to give a professional license to security guard, and I believe you also have a license based on law enforcement training with the NRA.
Correct.
Okay, it's the NRA Academy for law enforcement. So?
Correct. NRA law enforcement.
The NRA law enforcement. So that's it. That's my friend here. He's here today to talk about a lot of stuff regarding firearms, self-defense, Second Amendment rights. But I would like him first to introduce himself.
Well, thank you for the introduction, and thank you for having me. My name is Richard Smith. Happy to be here talking about all things self-defense, firearms related. That is my specialty. And fire away. Give me all your questions.
And also, I know you're a private investigator also. You have
Correct.
an agency, you have a license, you do private investigation for the private sector, and you have a B license.
Correct. So I run a small security company. We have a few contracts, and we actually guard one of South Florida's treasures. So we've got the contract for the ancient Spanish monastery, and we do security there as well, a couple of other accounts, and we do private investigation for several law firms, maybe a few different cases every month. And
Okay,
that's what we do.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. So I want to talk today to, first of all, this episode it's to inform the public. Okay, that's what we do. What we do, it's not we're not helping professional in security. We're not helping private investigation firm. We just explain what we can do for the public, for everyday people. Okay, so as you know, there is a lot of movement with the Second Amendment right lately, since the new administration in power in the United States. Okay, so I want to understand what kind of class can you offer to the regular public. Of course, you can probably help them to obtain their CCW license, okay, which is a basic firearm license.
Correct. So I do all sorts of classes, from beginners to professionals, licensing classes, self-defense classes. What we see today is the American public when they're buying firearms, they're buying guns to protect themselves, protect their homes, their families. If you would have looked maybe 60, 70 years ago, Americans were buying guns to hunt or to competition purposes. Today, pretty much 99% of people buying guns are for protection purposes. So we want to focus on what the public wants. Learn how to use a gun for self-protection. So we do a lot of those types of classes. I also certify instructors. The NRA has appointed me as the liaison for South Florida. So basically, I'm like the top instructor for NRA. If another instructor gets a complaint or something, it comes to me. I have to investigate it. About 45% of all the instructors in South Florida come through me or have come from my tree. So that's what we do. A lot of private classes as well. We've got some TV personalities, some major sports stars from local teams like Miami Dolphins and stuff like that.
Nice.
That are students.
Excellent. So, for example, if I want to learn how to use a firearm, I never use a firearm. I'm scared because I don't know anything about it. You know, people are always scared about the unknown. Unknown scare people. What will be the first step?
So you would come to me, come to my school, and we would start training you on firearms. And how we do that is we use a simulator system with a gun that shoots laser beams. It's called a CERT gun. So we start off with that because that ensures safety. Nobody's going to get shot with that. But we can start working on muzzle discipline, trigger finger discipline, all the safety stuff. We can start working on marksmanship. We can even work from the holster. And so we're working all the things that we want to do with the laser gun and still ensure safety. Only when the student has demonstrated complete safety and competency with all the safety things are we able to go live fire.
Yeah.
So then we would go to the range and we would go and work with a real gun and live fire. But at this point, I'm now confident in the student's ability to keep the gun pointed down range, keep their finger off the trigger when they are not shooting, and observe all the different safety rules. And by now, their marksmanship is getting to be pretty good as well.
Yeah. So I believe the first step is to understand what a firearm is. I mean, obviously, you need to teach them the safety precaution, the safety rules. I think there is 5.
So,
As long as I remember,
okay, so
I only respect the one I respect the most. It's to take your finger off the trigger when you're not ready to shoot, and that only rules can help you a lot to be in a safe environment. That's my belief. But
so there are all sorts of safety rules out there, right?
But I have the expert here. He's going to tell me.
So primarily there's 2 camps. There's the Cooper rules. There's 4 rules for safety that come from Jeff Cooper, Colonel Jeff Cooper. And then there's the NRA rules. So the NRA rules are the ones I like to use because less is more. There's only 3 rules for NRA. There's 4 rules for Cooper. And I find people will remember 3 rules easier than they remember 4 rules.
Of course.
Right? And of those 3 rules, if you can remember the first 2, which is muzzle discipline and trigger finger discipline, then you're on your way to being safe.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
So those are the most important. Now, are you teaching them to how to disassemble their firearm, clean maintenance?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, good.
So that is part of the curriculum. We're going to learn how to take a gun apart, how to field strip it, how to properly clean it. Once the gun is cleaned, then the next step is inspection. You want to inspect all the parts, make sure everything is in working order before you go ahead and lubricate it and put it back together. And now you have a firearm that's ready to go and reliable. That inspection part is really critical. A lot of people fail to inspect the guns or the parts of the gun. And, you know, if they're a mechanical device or subject to failure, things can break.
Exactly. So also you help them to choose the right firearm for themselves, because if I understand, there is so many different firearms in the market today that's very confusing. Even for professional people, it's confusing to get the right firearm.
Oh, absolutely. So one of the important things is that the gun needs to be a fit in the hand. So if we fit the gun in the hand, and I'll go through the steps on how we fit a gun to the hand, because it is a handgun. So the handgun was originally developed for use when riding a horse. I could ride a horse, hold on to the reins with one hand, and still shoot with the other hand. It's kind of hard to shoulder a long gun while you're riding a horse. So it is a handgun meant to shoot with one hand, and that's how we fit it. Now, when you're shooting, if you can get both hands on the gun, always do that. That's always preferable. But I might have to use one hand, and if I use one hand, that one hand should be able to reach all the controls on the gun.
Yes. Also, there is a rules that I heard, and I hear that all the time. It's you are accountable of every bullet coming out of your firearm.
Absolutely,
Okay.
which is why we train marksmanship. So I want my people to aim small and miss small. Really very, very strict on the marksmanship requirements, because once we have decent marksmanship and we can hit the target, then we're going to go ahead and start talking about things like movement. If you cannot hit the target standing still, movement's not going to help you. It's going to make it harder. I've seen a lot of these instructors are out there that they're running around the range and people are shooting and they're having a great time, but they don't look at the targets. They don't see what the hits are. Are they hitting the target? So for us, that's critical, because we are accountable for every bullet that comes out of the gun. And one of the things I tell my students is I want to train them to defend themselves, and I want to train them to stay out of prison.
Trouble. Yes.
Right.
This is actually it's the most challenging part of carrying a firearm or using firearm every day, because it's a liability, and you want to make sure that you're not going to end up in prison and you do the wrong things and you make the wrong choices.
Correct.
That's the problem, and this is the most difficult part to understand, and it's confusing. So I know you have in your school, you have a training, simulation classes. It's like a shooting. You shoot on the TV screen or movie theater screen with a special firearm, like it's a laser point.
Correct.
And from this, you have so many self-defense configuration, and I even did it.
Yes.
With you, I remember, and I messed up.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Absolutely.
I shot the guy, but I was not supposed to shoot the guy because he was no direct threat. He didn't show me any firearm. He was taking his wallet from the back of his pocket, and I thought he was going to get a gun. And I shot fast, and I made a mistake. So you see, even from the people who train, they have experience, we all make mistakes. So
absolutely.
we have to be aware of your surrounding. And that's what I liked your school program training, because you also expose the reality of self-defense scenario. And I love these things.
Right. So we make big use of that. That scenario you're talking about that you failed on,
Yes.
Don't feel bad. I had a U.S. Marshal in for training, and he also failed on that same exact scenario.
So
there's hundreds of scenarios, and one of the things we learn is when a bad guy attacks or something happens, nobody will ever attack you in slow motion. It's going to happen fast, and your decision-making needs to be fast, right? So make your decision, but that's okay that you made a mistake.
Yeah.
That's what that's for.
Of course.
Make a mistake in training, make a mistake with the simulator so that you don't make the mistake out in the real world. Exactly.
Also, when something bad happened, and you're facing like a crisis management, self-defense, you're not at the range.
No.
You are under pressure. You have your natural instinct, mindset are going to start and progress. And what was the three mindsets situation that we have in case of danger?
So there's fight, flight, right? Or
Freeze.
freeze, right?
Yes.
So, see, I froze. So fight, flight, or freeze. Those are your three things that people are going to do.
Which is the most common?
However, well, through good training,
Yes.
we can train to fight, okay, and not freeze. Flight is something we want to talk about as well. But if you think of a fighter pilot, the fighter pilot under heavy stress, pulling several G's of force, can manipulate small controls and still do everything they've got to do because of the training. They also make use of simulators as well. So this is something that we can train. The more training we have, the more ingrained we are with the training,
Yes.
the better off we are. One of my mentors is Tom Givens, and
My favorite
Yes.
firearm instructor.
yes, he is. And I bring him down. And one year, Victor sat in on a class and did a class, loved it.
Oh, I loved it. Yeah, he
one
was
of
a
the
nice
things
guy.
that he says is that training produces skill, and skill produces confidence, and confidence prevents panic, and that's how you win a gunfight. If you've got the confidence because your skills are really good,
Yeah.
you're not going to panic. You're going to be okay.
You're gonna, yeah.
Yeah. And consequently, like a martial artist, and I know you're a martial artist, right? Whenever you do martial arts or you go to one of these traditional arts, you never see the Grand Master getting into street fights. It just doesn't happen.
No.
He's usually the most peaceful guy there. So when your skills are really good with the gun, consequently, it lowers the chances of you even having to use the gun.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So it's self-control. You have to adjust the situation, and you can, avoid a conflict too. You know?
Yes.
It's not because you carry a firearm that you have to use it all the time. Okay. So actually, you are more under pressure to avoid the conflict, because that's the problem that we find
Absolutely.
everywhere. One of my, just to a stupid situation, one of my private investigator intern, a young lady, 21 years old, was waiting to park in the street in Hollywood. It was in Harrison Street, downtown Hollywood. And some guy wanted to get her parking spot, and he got aggravated. I think she may be engaged or a little bit, but she's a young kid. The guy came out of his truck with a gun in the hand. Okay? So people are crazy. You're not supposed to do this thing. This is the best recipe to end up in prison.
Right.
Okay? Or get killed. I'll be honest with you. So you got to be careful when you carry a gun. You have to make sure you not flashing the gun everywhere.
Right.
Even when you carry, make sure you're not, the gun is not showing through an imprint on your shirt. It's concealed carry. That's how it should be. Okay.
Absolutely. So I carry my gun every day, and very rarely do I ever even take it out of the holster. In fact, 99% of the time, it never comes out of the holster. Sometimes when I'm teaching, I have to take it off, but it just stays there. Nobody knows I have it. It stays in the holster. That's where it's safe.
Yes.
As long as it's in the holster, it's safe. It's under my complete control. And you want to view the gun, if you're carrying a gun, it should be viewed as a seatbelt, just like in your car.
Or a parachute when you jump from a plane.
Well, yeah, okay.
No, because look, to me, it's the best resemblance configuration of saving life. If you jump from a plane and you don't have a parachute, you're going to be in trouble. Okay.
Right.
If you face a self-defense situation without a gun, you're also going to be in a bad situation. Probably.
Right.
It's going to end up that way.
Well, the way I see it, I like to use the analogy of the seatbelt. So in the state of Florida, 9 people die every single day in car accidents. And we know this, but that doesn't stop us from driving. So we still drive. I put my seatbelt on, I've got airbags, and I try to be safe and cautious as possible. But I could be parked or stopped at a light, and here comes a drunk driver and hits me. So my seatbelt, because I'm not jumping out of a plane to go jump into some sort of criminal self-defense issue. I'm just driving my car trying to stay out of accidents. But if an accident happens, I have my seatbelt. So if an accident happens or a self-defense thing happens,
You have
a
your
criminal
gun.
attack, I've got the gun. But when I leave home, I'm not intentionally trying to get into any problems. I'm not trying to get into any criminal attacks. I'm not trying to be a vigilante.
Yes.
If gunshots happen, I'm trying to get away. I'm not running to try to be some hero.
Find cover because
Right.
to avoid bullets. Also, one thing I wanted to talk about, something very important, because when you make a choice to buy a firearm, and then you want to exercise your Second Amendment right, so which means you're going to carry this firearm. So I always tell everybody, when the day you decide to carry a firearm, it's a lifestyle. It's different. Your life is going to change. The way you dress is going to change.
Right.
The way, because you have to carry a firearm. So for women, it's different. For men, it's also different. I mean, there is different way to carry a firearm. So you have to take in consideration the way you dress to make sure you can conceal the firearm. A lot of women carry their firearm in the purse, which is good, but not too good, because sometimes you can leave your purse on the chair, and the day you're going to need to use your firearm is not going to be next to you. Or is also somebody can steal your purse, and then you can lose your gun, and they can use it to commit a crime. So there is a lot of stuff. And also, one thing that I want to talk about everybody, this is something that happened to the best. When you carry a firearm every day and you're going to the restroom, you don't know where to put your firearm. And I will say 80% of the firearm discovered somewhere are going to be in the restroom, because people goes to the restroom and they take the firearm out of the holster and they left the firearm in the restroom. Every day the police discover firearm in the restroom. Somebody called, there is a gun in the sink, there is a gun on top of the paper toilet stuff. It happens every day.
Right.
I was talking to a guy who worked for Miami-Dade Police, and actually he's involved with the forensic ballistic and everything. They said they find a gun in Miami every 5 minutes. It's insane. They find a firearm, and the place where they find the most firearm, it's in the restroom, public restroom, restaurant restroom, things like that.
Yeah. Well, it happens all the time.
It happens to a lot of people.
So what I would do, I try to go to the bathroom at home. So
It's not always the case.
no, it's not always the case.
You can have an emergency.
You can have an emergency. So that's something that you want to be cognizant of.
But I have a trick. I have a reminder that I use all the time, because I carry every day. When I go to the bathroom, I sit down, normally, and I put my firearm in between my legs in my underwear. Even if I forgot that I have a firearm down, if I bring my pants up, I'm going to feel it, because the weight of my gun is going to be there, and that's going to remind me automatically. It's a silly conversation. I agree with you guys, but trust me, that will keep you out of a lot of trouble.
Right. Excellent.
What do you think?
Well, that's one way. I leave
I
leave it in the holster.
Okay.
It's secured in the holster. And again, it's very rare that I have to go out. And, if I do, I'm in one of those booths, right? If I'm out in public and I have to go, I never use a urinal. So I always try to go into the stall close the door behind me. So when are you vulnerable? When you're facing the wall, your back is turned to everybody, and you're urinating, right? So you're
Yes,
very
it's true.
vulnerable.
It's true.
So I do that in a stall, close the door behind me, gives you a little bit more security. That's what I do.
Yeah, but it's an everyday problem. So, and I had so many people I know that it happened to them at least once.
Right.
And then when the police has been called and they discover a firearm, automatically the gun are going to be taken to the ballistic department. They're going to see if that firearm has been used
In any crimes.
to commit any crime.
Right.
Okay? And then my friend was telling me, he said, we rarely have anybody coming to recover their firearm because they are so ashamed, and also they are scared that they're going to be consequences.
Right.
And the police say, no, they will give it to you back. They will not, at the time, now maybe the law changed, but if somebody got injured with your gun because you forgot it, that you are responsible for what happened.
Oh, absolutely. So it's a great responsibility, and we don't just leave our firearms laying around. So my firearm stays with me. It's on me at all times. I'm cognizant of it at all times. It's under my complete control.
And when the firearm is not on you, where is the firearm?
Well, so that depends. Right now, I just leave it on my dresser, like on my table, because I live in a home with my wife, and it's just us two. And she's really good with a gun too. When I had kids, we had safes and things like that. So it depends on your environment. At the present time, I have no pets, no cat or a dog or anything. So I just have it there at the ready. It's on the night table. And when I get dressed in the morning, it goes right in the holster.
Yeah. I have it. My firearm, it's on the safe, on my night table, with a fingerprint system that very fast to open the safe.
Right.
Well, the reason is I have no kids at home as well, but I just had a bad feeling that to leave my gun on the night table when I sleep, because somebody can come and take the gun. You're sleeping. Sometimes you sleep deeply. Okay, you don't hear them coming. It could happen. I mean, everything happened. But this is more like a military reflex. In the army, they used to make us sleep with our firearm, like like this. We were in the tent outdoor, and we had the gun on our belly, and we were sleeping on top of it because, the enemy could come and take your gun and kill you with your own gun. So this is my way to think about safety.
Well, I don't think anybody's coming into my house without me knowing about it.
Okay.
So it's all locked up. We've got good lighting, alarm system, and everything.
Oh, no,
so that's one of the things. Put your alarm on. So if people use the alarms at home when they leave. At night, I put the alarm on. I leave the motion detectors off, but I put the alarm on. Yeah. So if somebody breaks in, the alarm's going off.
Yeah, any door or windows are going to open, you're going to be aware.
Right.
Of course. That's a good way to do it. Yeah. So now, I heard also you do have a specific class, self-defense firearm for women.
Correct.
Yeah, interesting.
So I have read several books on teaching women. The perhaps number one woman in the country who kind of invented this is a woman named Vicki Farnham. I'm also a student of hers. I've taken her teaching women to shoot class. I've also taken some classes from Luann Hamblin of Luca Tactical, which is probably one of the foremost female instructors in the country. Took a class with Tatiana Whitlock as well. So I've been out there and exposed with several of the top female firearms instructors, and teaching women can be a little bit different. Obviously they have different bodies, shorter torsos, longer legs, how they carry, wider hips. And there is a great industry out there today of firearms accessories and holsters and things like that made by women, designed by women for women.
That's
So,
right. Yeah.
You know, they're figuring things out, and that's great. There's a lot of innovation. We're in the golden age of firearms today with the types of guns we have, the quality of ammunition we have, and all the accessories that we have. So there's a lot of accessories out there for women today.
Nice. And different firearm they can use too, because,
Absolutely.
today there is a smaller firearm. I always see women have tendency to choose a small firearm, which is not always the best, because if I understand that the smaller are the firearm, more recoil you have.
Correct. But women tend to be a little bit smaller, so their hands are a little bit smaller. So a smaller gun like that may fit their hand, and they might have a better grip on the smaller gun. The caliber is still going to be like a 9mm. You can get a 9mm in all sorts of different sizes, which is going to be effective for self-defense, or as effective as a handgun can be.
Yes.
Right.
What do you recommend? Because there is different caliber available today.
Right.
You have a 380, which is a 9mm but short.
Correct.
Okay, that's what I understand. And then you have 9mm, you have 45, you have 10mm, you have 357, 44 Magnum.
Got all sorts of.
So there is a lot
absolutely.
of different ammunition. And,
Right.
and what makes the difference? Why would you choose a 9mm before than a 45, for example?
So the 9mm, since we're famous here in South Florida for the 1986 FBI Miami shootout.
Yes.
That happened about 20 miles south of us right now. And ever since that happened, more money has been put into the research and development of the 9mm than pretty much any other caliber. So today's modern 9 self-defense hollow point ammunition is the best that we've ever had. So it expands, it's reliable. We have very good powders, very good primers. So it's a reliable ammunition. It's the best of several different categories. So price point. A 9 is going to be about 40% cheaper than 40 cal.
40 cal,
or
yeah.
45. It's more expensive. So cheaper ammo or cheaper practice ammo means I can practice more. Also, it's a little bit lighter on the recoil than, like, say, a 40 cal. So lighter recoil means faster follow-up shots, which is something that's important. With all these handguns, they are what we carry not because they're effective. We carry handguns because they are portable. Effectiveness, I would be carrying my 12-gauge shotgun.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
That's going to be effective. However, you can't sling your shotgun over your shoulder and walk into the supermarket because people get scared and they want to freak
and it's
out.
more difficult to conceal a shotgun
Yeah,
than
you
a
can't-
handgun. So
yeah, you can't
of
conceal
course.
it. Right.
And also, I think the 9mm has the ability to have more round in the magazine.
Correct.
So they give
yeah.
you an option of 15 rounds, 17 rounds.
Right.
Then a 45, it's about between 7 and 9 rounds. It depends on the...
So more rounds on board.
Yes.
Right. So, yes, we have statistics. According to the Bureau of Justice and Statistics, 50% of attacks on U.S. civilians are by one attacker, and the other 50% are by multiple attackers. So if I'm attacked by multiple people, meaning 2 or more, they each might need several helpings of lead. So having more capacity means you have to reload less often.
That's right.
Right.
And then you can carry more ammunition on you too. I
Absolutely.
mean, it's the goal. But one thing also I learned that regarding the caliber, I mean, for self-defense, I recommend the 9mm for sure.
Absolutely.
The 45 is good. I don't know. There is a big debate now between 45 and 9. The 45 do a better job. Instead to put 3 bullets, you put 1 bullet. I don't think it's accurate. on every circumstance.
So, this is the age-old thing in the firearms world is 9 versus 45, the caliber wars. Well, it's over. 9 is one. If you look, a good metric for you to look at is what is your local police department carrying?
They used to carry 45. Now they're switching to 9.
Right, exactly.
They used to carry 40 caliber too,
Right.
very often.
Well, that's a whole nother story,
Yeah.
right? The 40 cal and how that came about. But the reality of it is that most departments today are carrying a 9. They've all switched back to 9. And so if your local police officer is carrying 9, what does that tell you?
Yeah,
Right.
and they may be knowing a little more about that. That for sure. Now, what's your right to defend yourself? When I say your rights, it's because there is many configuration. I'm going to give you an example. I am a very aggressive person, and I'm coming at you with a baseball bat. How far you can start shooting at me to protect your life? There is any rules and regulation? I mean, we're not there with the tape measurement, but you know as well that 7 yards, it's nothing. I can
Right.
get on you very fast
Right.
with a knife or a baseball bat and still hurt you. Okay, and you won't be able to shoot at me because
Right.
it's a very short distance. But what's the rules? Like, I have a baseball bat, I'm coming at you, I'm upset, and I'm very determined to hurt you. So what's the rules? What would you say to defend yourself if you shoot me?
So if I'm going to defend myself, number one, I cannot be the aggressor, right? So if you're the aggressor, then, I might be able to defend myself. Number two is what we call imminence. So your threat on me, on my person, has to be like right now.
Right now.
If it's not right now, a threat of harm on me 5 minutes from now doesn't create imminence. So the threat has to be like on top of me right now, right? So if several of the factors line up, then I can go ahead and defend myself. By law, I don't have to wait for you to shoot me for me to defend myself. I don't have to wait for you to stab me for me to defend myself. I don't have to wait for you to hit me for me to defend myself. I can take preemptive action, but the conditions must be right. So when I teach my legal classes, I teach a lot of the information on Florida statutes, and we talk about case law and constitutional law and how that all works so that you can be harder to convict, right? So that you can stay out of prison. If you get involved in a self-defense scenario, you're going to have 2 fights. So one is the fight for your life, and the second one is the legal fight afterwards. And we want to make sure that you win both of those. And so that's kind of what we teach. That's what I'm teaching.
Interesting. But if I come at you with a baseball bat, it's an imminent threat.
Well, it could be.
How far can you shoot at me?
It could be. Let's say you have the bat over your shoulder and you got a baseball mitt and a ball and you're walking in my direction.
Okay, yeah.
Are you
right.
a threat?
No.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
But
So
I'm hungry.
context.
I have the bat
Yeah.
like this, and I'm coming at you, cursing at you, telling you I'm going to hurt you.
Right.
What would you do?
It depends on many circumstances. But number one, I may pull my gun in a defensive display and tell you to stop right there or I'm going to shoot.
Okay.
And if you don't stop right there, then the gun comes up and I shoot.
Okay.
Every single self-defense incident in this country is judged on its own merits. And we cannot cookie cutter responses because everything is different. No 2 self-defense cases are the same. Different people, different places, different time of day, different circumstances.
Yes.
So each one must be judged on its own merits.
Okay.
So we need to learn to make decisions based upon the circumstances that are justifiable.
Where will be the best target to stop the threat when you shoot some when you use self-defense with a firearm? Where would you shoot them? In the head?
So I like to shoot or to train to shoot in the upper thoracic cavity.
Okay.
That's going to be very effective. Headshot is also going to be effective. However, it's a much smaller target. And unless you're highly skilled, then the thoracic cavity is going to be the better option. Realize that in a self-defense incident, you're not going to be standing still and the bad guy's not going to be standing still. So for you to make that shot and actually hit the bad guy in the head, what happens if you miss? Now you've launched rounds out into public. And I'll give you an illustration of that. Last July when Trump was shot, that was a great shot. It was a very good shot. What saved Trump is he turned his head at the last moment and it got him in the ear.
Yes.
So if he didn't turn his head, just showing you where it got him,
yes.
that's the spot right
that's
there.
The spot right there, yeah.
So that was a very good shot, and it would have killed him if he didn't turn his head at the last second.
Yes.
So he turned his head at the last second. It still clipped him in the ear, but that you run the same danger that with headshots,
yes.
For self-defense.
And unfortunately, some bullet went out and some people died that day. You see, that's the liability because,
right.
I mean, this guy, crazy guy, was targeting the future president of the United States, but he missed. And unfortunately, a lot of people, few people died, like a firefighter, a gentleman, very nice guy.
It was a tragic incident.
Tragedy, it's horrible, but things happen every day. I always say, there's a question everybody say, what will stop a bad guy? It's a good guy with a gun,
right?
Okay? But the good guy with a gun, if you miss your target and you, by accident, shoot 8 years old little girl sleeping in a bedroom, the good guy became the bad guy, okay? Yeah. And that's the problem. That's a liability. That's why you have to be the most accurate when you shoot and control of the firearm to make sure that, like we say earlier, you are accountable of every round coming out of your firearm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Interesting. So can you tell us a little bit if you have any special program? I know, I think as long as I remember that you also doing a special event, shooting trainee, like 2-3 days shooting with some very famous firearm instructor. I did few with you, and we shoot about 1,000 round, 1,500 round in 2-3 days.
Right.
It's a lot of fun because you learn how to shoot under pressure, different circumstances, and also you're shooting at least minimum 500-600 rounds a day. So it's sometimes more.
Well, over the past decade or 12 years or so, I have brought down a lot of top talent to South Florida. So Tom Givens, 2 or 3 classes I brought him down for every year for over a decade. Dave Spalding, before he retired, I brought him down several times. John Farnham, I've had him down here. We've done every single class he offers, and we host them, and I fill the classes up with my students. We've had Larry Vickers, Jeff Gonzalez, Gabe White. It's just a who's who.
Yes.
From Special Forces to Navy SEALs to SWAT instructors, competition instructors, world champions, national champions, all sorts of different people to come down for regular training. And when I bring them down, I'm a student myself in their courses.
Of course.
Yeah.
You learn every day, huh?
Absolutely.
There's not a day when you don't learn, especially about firearm, because everything changes every day. Technology. You remember we used to have a different trigger. Now we have trigger pressure. We had the ergonomy of the firearm changed. We used to use the 1911, the very heavy full metal firearm, which was created in 1911. Okay, so it's very old firearm. Now we have different firearm, like you have Glock, you have a 6 Hour, your favorite brand. I remember.
Yeah, well, not so much. Not so much. It's just a shame what's happened to that brand and how.
But
yeah,
it's a big, and you're right, because I did my homework after that you told me that 6 Hour had a very bad issues of firearm shooting by themselves without pulling the trigger in the holster. So I did some research, and you're right, there is a lot of cases like that. There is a few lawsuits against them, actually, and mostly from a police officer.
right.
Yeah. And we see the video of the police officer had his firearm in the holster, and he's walking calmly without touching the gun, and the firearm discharge like this. Like, this is insane. But they're still denying everything. They say that's not true.
Well, of course they're going to deny it. They're going to deny it. They're going to fight. I would just say, if there's any questions,
Yes.
then maybe I wouldn't want to carry that for myself, right? There are other choices out there that don't have the clouds of controversy and suspicion over them that may be better choices.
Of course.
Right.
What's your favorite brand on firearm?
My favorite brand. Well, I don't know that I have a favorite brand. I'm not really, I don't have a favorite brand. I mean, what do I carry? I carry a Glock.
Okay.
Okay. It's not the prettiest gun. It's not the nicest looking gun. I've got some other nice guns.
But this is the one you carry all the
That's the
time?
one I carry, right?
Every day?
Every day.
You always carry the same gun every day?
Correct.
You never change?
I change every once in a while.
Oh, okay.
So I've been carrying this current gun for the past couple of years. Before that, I carried a different gun. And before that, a different one. So this is what I'm carrying now. I reevaluate my situation every couple of years and figure out where I can upgrade or carry something better, or maybe something newer has come out on the market. So we want to take advantage of the latest in technology.
Yes. So what I want you to do, because it's very interesting, like we've been talking for at least more than an hour now, and I enjoy it because
Okay.
I enjoy it because it's very a lot of knowledge. I'm learning a lot, and I hope you guys learn a lot, and I'm sure we're gonna do more work.
Absolutely.
I want you to come back because we're gonna talk about different subjects, different training, different form of training. But what I want you to do now, I want you to tell everybody, our audience, I want you to give them your phone number, your address, your email, which we are going to put everything on the link below, and you will. I really want you guys to contact him because to me, he's the best firearm in the United States, and I mean it.
Well, thank
This
you.
guy is amazing. He has a lot of knowledge, and he loves what he's doing. And that, for me, it's very important because when you like what you do, you are doing it very good. Okay? And because you're putting 100% and you're putting yourself in.
Right.
And I appreciate everything you do. And every time I see him, hopefully I can see him more than once a year because as a private investigator, when we carry a firearm, professionally, we use the G license, and we have to qualify once a year, 4 hours. Okay?
Right. Yeah.
And that's, at least I see him, I have the pleasure to see him once a year, but lately I've been seeing you more than that.
A little bit more than that. Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So you can find me at FTA, Foxtrot Tango Alpha Guns.com. My phone number is 855-872-2763. Email richard@ftaguns.com. And go ahead and give me a call. reach out to me?
Yes, make an appointment. He does private class, he does group classes. I'm sure he can organize anything. And if you are a security personal officer, you can definitely qualify with him. He does
The security classes.
Security class.
I do the D class.
Yeah,
I
you
do the G class.
G.
I do instructor training. So we are doing all of that. G classes, 28-hour classes, 4-hour requals, D license classes. We're doing NRA instructor certifications in all disciplines at both basic or instructor level. We're doing one-on-ones. I do a lot of private sessions with private clientele, and I've got some deals going for that. Buy 4 sessions, get 1 free.
Very nice.
And
yeah.
so we have come train on the simulator. I've got legal classes, legal use of force classes, all sorts of things. So please give me a call.
Excellent. Thank you. And we'll see you soon, probably for another episode of Richard Smith, the best firearm instructor.
Thank you.
Take care.
Okay.